Hello there. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the STDM Document Designer by designing a sample property ownership certificate document. What you see on the screen is a sample template document that we shall design. The document will have property ownership as the title. We're going to show the property number on this section here and land use here. The names of the owner of the property will be filled in this section here, as well as other details. For the signature of the certifying officer, they can sign here. To launch the document designer of STDM, go to the QGIS menu and on the toolbar, click this icon here. So, let's get started. On the left-hand side of the document designer, we have static data components on top here. We have dynamic data components that read data straight from the database. Static data components means the data does not change. This will be used to represent our titles and static sentences. Dynamic data components changes and is represented by symbols that will be replaced with texts that read their data from the database and link them to this document. Also up here, we have other QGIS-related controls that assist in things like zoom in and out of a document. On the right-hand side of the design window, we have the data source controls. This is where we set up the database table source to read the data from. Just beneath the data source drop-down, we have two radio buttons, Show Tables Only and Show View Only. A view is a table that is created within Postgres by joining many tables into one. The view is able to connect many tables and show the data as a single table, which is called a view. So, instead of extracting one record from one table, then go to another one for another, you can create a view that combines many tables into one. If you select on Show Views Only and then click the Data Source drop-down, you will see two views. However, depending on your project, this drop-down might have several views. For our occupancy certificate, we shall select from our already existing view called DA_VW_occupancy_license. The DA prefix represents the first two characters of the profile, while the VW initials denote that this is a view. We now need to create the title label. To do this, go to the left-hand side and look for a label component. Click on it to select. On the blank design page, click and hold the left mouse button while dragging it to form a label box. On the right-hand side of the screen, select Property Table on the Reference Table drop-down. Below the Reference drop-down, there are three tabs. Composition tab represents properties of the entire document. Item Properties tab represents properties of the label that we have just created on the document. STDM Item Properties tab represents properties of STDM Dynamic Data Components. Click on the Item Properties tab. On the Main Properties text box, delete the default text QGIS and type Property Ownership. Now you can proceed to format the label to make it look better. Click the Font button to change the font type. I will use Sergo script. Make it bold and increase the font size to 26 to make it more visible. Click OK to close the font setup window. Next, insert the sentence and format it following the previous steps. Next, insert a dynamic data label which is going to represent the plot number. Click to select a data label, then drop it on the design page. Click on the STDM Item Properties tab to set the label data source. Click on the Data field drop-down and select Plot Number field. Format it and align it to look like the rest of the texts. Continue with your sentence design. Pick your static label and drop it here. On your Items Properties tab on the right side, type the rest of the sentence on the Main Properties section. Add another dynamic label whose value will be picked from the database. On the STDM Items Properties tab on the Data field drop-down, click to select Property Land Use. Again, format it to align with the rest of the sentence. Notice the red alignment lines that are meant to help you align components on the design page. Add another static label to continue with our sentence. Now, add a table component where you will input the rest of the details of the property owner. To add a dynamic table component, click and drag to insert the STDM Dynamic Attribute Table component. Now, proceed to configure the tables to enable it to access the database. There are 3 things you will need to set up, and they are references, data source field, and referencing. The references will be referencing our property table, so click the reference drop-down to the DA_VW_occupancy_license table. On the data source field drop-down, click to select ID field. On the referencing drop-down, click to select ID. Now, go ahead and format the table to make it presentable. According to the sample design, the only fields you need are first name, last name, ID number, tenure start time, and tenure duration. Click the Items Properties tab and then on Attributes button. A table attribute format window will open with a list of columns from our tables for formatting. To remove a column from the attribute table, click on the row to select the column you intend to remove. Once highlighted, click red minus button to delete. Do the same for the rest of the rows until you are left with the columns of your choice. Now go ahead, close the table attribute format window once you're done. Notice now that the columns are fewer. To format the table columns titles, go to the attribute table. Highlight the heading of the first name and edit it to read first name. Do the same for the other rows. For the content below the titles, increase the font size to 12 points. Finally, add a line where the certifying officer will sign. To add a line, go to the top STDM toolbar, click on the first icon. On the document, left-click your mouse and hold, then drag to your desired length. To reduce the thickness and boldness, click on Item Properties, Main Properties, then Line Style button. On the Line Style format window, change the width of the line by reducing the value of the width field. Click OK to save. Next, drop a static label beneath it and type Certifying Officer. If you are satisfied with the document, you can go ahead and save it. To save it, go to the toolbar and click on Save Document Template. A small dialog box will appear that will prompt you to enter the name of the document template before you save it. Type the name and click OK. Your template is now saved and ready to be used to generate documents. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.